picturesque places that you see put on postcards here in Charleston is something called Rainbow Row, and it's called that because of the colorful paint that was used on the buildings. I'll show you. So I'm here on historic East Bay Street, and I am just outside of the walled city of Charleston. So think of all the plunderers that used to come on shore, like pirates and things of that nature, like Blackbeard and other really famous pirates used to come here from the Bahamian Islands. With that being said, you got to think through the fact that most of the culture that came here was very Bahamian inspired. Most of the houses are built that way. Most of the houses are even built with the thought process of airflow, because it gets really hot and humid down here. Today is a really awesome day in the sense that the weather couldn't be more perfect. Humidity is kept down from all the rains that came through. And it started off really cool this morning at about 66 degrees or so. Think of all the people and ruffians that were coming in, and just the colonizers of Charlestown, is what it was called back in the day, who wanted to keep all the ruffians basically out. And what's interesting about that is that inside the wall there was at least four major fires that took place inside that walled city. Not outside, but within. Goes to show you, can't keep everything out. Hey, puppy. I'm heading south. Still East Bay Street. I'm heading down to an area that's called the Battery. It's a very special place for Paige and me. By the way, there's a home for sale right through here. It's roughly about 4,000 square feet or so. Price tag was about $3.5 million on Zillow. I think it may have even had its own elevator. I don't know. But if you're thinking about buying, make sure to save a lot of money. So we're on our way down to the end of the peninsula of Charleston, and I want to kind of point out something to you. Is right there. It's hard to make out. I've got the GoPro zoomed in as far as what it'll go, but that is where the Confederate Army launched its first attack on the United States. That is Fort Sumter. That is the first shots that began the Civil War. A lot of history in Charleston, from the Confederacy beginning, slavery becoming a real thing, more slaves being brought through the ports of Charleston than any other city. It all started right here. So all the sins of the United States started right here. Kind of wanted to point out something here is that you notice I'm up on a barrier wall. Charleston is entirely at and below sea level, so anytime hurricanes come through here or anytime there's major rain, lots of flooding takes place. Matter of fact, sometimes the water actually starts coming up through all the gutters and grates. very expensive. We've now reached the $7 to $10 million window homes. I can't afford that, can you? That's a little money. You can't have a house right here and have it flooded every time a hurricane comes. No? No. You've reached the Battery. Thusly called the Battery for obvious reasons. Think of the position that you had to take here, fighting off this entire peninsula, with Fort Sumter sitting right out there. So this is what's called White Point Gardens, and it goes pretty much for the entire length of the Battery. It's where Paige and I got married. She's actually getting a massage and some acupuncture done, so I decided to go for a little walk. Can you imagine if this was your home? Oh, some of these are bed and breakfasts. If you guys want to stay down here, some of these actually take reservations. This big concrete gazebo right here, this is where Paige and I got married. You can rent this out. You have to get a permit from the city of Charleston, and straight up on Broad Street from here is where you can get your license, and there's really no waiting period here in Charleston. Maybe 24 hours. It isn't much. No blood tests or anything else like that. Not that we cared, but yeah. This is my view. And Paige is right here. This is what we got to look out at as we got married. Pretty, huh? I love all the Spanish moss that's hanging from some of the trees. It's really kind of cool. Oh look, balls. And this is probably one of the last remaining Confederate monuments. Most of us who have half a brain don't want to see anything that's giving those scums any kind of credit for anything. I mean, it was an entire movement devoted to enslaving a people, and that's just wrong. Well, couldn't you say it was about land rights? You could, but that's not what it was about. They wanted to have their rights to own slaves. That's it. I mean, how history has morphed and twisted everything into what it really was elitist scumbags, which, by the way, it was very expensive to own a slave. You had to have money, and even to buy one, and enough to upkeep. Not that they really spent that much to upkeep their shacks, but you know, that's just crazy. Not everybody had slaves. It was the people of Charleston, and as you can see, all the money that wanted to keep their right, state's right, to have slaves. Fuck them all in the North if they didn't like it. And that's not right. But as for the history and the dark side of Charleston, I'll get into that some more in an upcoming vlog. So make sure you're watching for that. If there's anything of interest that you really are caring about, I'm trying to publish while I'm here. So if you have a specific question about Charleston, let me know, and I will cover it if I can. Here's some of those infamous original roads using ballast stones as roads. A little bit of dirt. Throughout history, especially in the colonial days, the pineapple was a real symbol of welcome. As were canned peaches in the Wild West. Not really sure I understood the canned peaches. It's like everybody's getting together, let's open up a can of peaches. Really odd, I know. But anyways, back to colonial days in Charlestown, which is one of the first colonies of the United States, the pineapple holds a lot of significance for welcome. So, welcome to Charleston, right? What's interesting is these big tablets here represent what the colony or the peninsula looked like back in different centuries of history. This is the 17th century, and just this little portion right here was what we know as Charlestown, where all the pirates used to come in. Arr. By the 18th century, still about the same. Now it was walled about 1704 to about 1720. And look how Charleston explodes in the 19th century, 1800s. So it moved from Charlestown to Charleston in terms of naming and spelling in 1783. And by the 20th century, even had like a little bit of a bridge now, or you got the bridge that's going over. So we are right around here in this mix, and off in the distance you can see the bridge. So I have to make a confession about something. In my first vlog coming down here, I showed you over the rooftop on our balcony of our condo, and I made mention that out there you could see the USS Constitution, the retired aircraft carrier. I'm wrong. It is the USS Yorktown. God, my memory's getting bad as I get older. You'd think I'd remember that for being here all these years. So where the aircraft carrier is stationed, that's called Patriots Point. You can just come from Charleston, go right over the Ravenel Bridge, and be right there if you want to go and see it. I'm pretty sure that they filmed an episode of Ghost Hunters over there. You know, like somebody died or something, you know, in the bowels of the aircraft carrier. I don't know. Now, believe it or not, I've been wandering around now for about an hour and a half. I think it's about time to go collect the wife. Apologize in advance, D-Man, for the massive amount of hashtag try not to pee challenge. I hope you've been able to keep it and hold it throughout this entire series in Charleston. I could totally go for a swim. I thought you guys might need a little bit of a cool down. It's getting a little warm, getting a little tan action. That's okay. Weather's now probably in the mid 70s. It feels great, but after doing so much walking, that felt good. I was getting wet just from the splashback. Not that kind of splashback, okay? You guys. Wife is collected, and just kind of heading back now. We're passing here. This is the corner of Church Street and Queen Street, and this here is the last standing French Huguenot Church in the country. Slight correction, this is the last French Huguenot Church standing in the United States that actually still holds services on Sunday. It's pretty. And this is the Dock Street Theater. I've always wanted to go in there. It looks so pretty and actually catch a play. This is the Dock Street Theater. It is so pretty. We're basically back on Church Street here, heading back towards the hotel, which is that way. And no, your eyes are not deceiving you. I am not standing at an angle. That steeple leans. It's from all the earthquakes and stuff. So we're making it a point to actually go in the Dock Street Theater. After all the years of coming here, I've never actually been inside. So you are going to be on a first with me going in. So here we go to explore. Well, that was a medium vlog.
Medium? How so?
Well, it wasn't rare, and it certainly wasn't well done.
What was that?
That was very strange.
It was very weird.
It was peculiar.
It was kind of amusing.
Yes, it was rather funny.
It was incredibly funny.
I loved it.
Hilarious! Wonderful!